Hey, this is Christy, and I want to tell you a little bit about a class that I have coming up. It's called Resist This. It's a class all about resist. Now, over the course of the 2 weeks, we'll learn 18 different resist techniques using items you probably already have both in your craft room and around your house. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, lessons will be posted, and each lesson will have downloadable PDF step-by-step instructions, a full supply list, and a step-by-step video to accompany each technique. I have lots of samples as well as finished pieces to show you, and no matter what kind of paper crafter you are, a card maker, scrapbooker, mixed media, I'm going to have something for you. And right here, I have all sorts of samples of what we're going to do in the class. We're going to make tags, we're going to make cards, we'll make layouts. Pull some out here. We have scrapbook pages we're going to make. Like I said, any paper crafting medium that you are into, I'm going to show you how to do something. And I also just want to share you a quick little technique here. We're going to make a card right now. Clear this off. And for our card, what we're going to need is we need a piece of lightly colored pattern paper. We need a stamp, and I'm going to use this one right here. You need some watermark ink, some clear embossing powder, a dye ink. You also need a heat gun to melt your embossing powder, and then at the very end we're going to need an iron to remelt our embossing powder for the piece de resistance. Okay, so what we're going to start, I have my pattern paper cut, and I'm just going to ink my watermark ink up. I'm going to start on the left hand side, and I'm just going to keep working my way down, and each time I go, I'm just lowering my stamp a little bit. Sometimes you have to move it around so you can see where you've stamped. Okay, and I'm going to go off a little. And then I'm just going to take this, cover it with my clear embossing powder. So you can see on there. And I'm going to go melt this with my heat gun, and I'll be right back to show you what else we're going to do. Alright, so my embossing powder is all melted. I have a nice shiny image on here. And we're going to go on to the next step. We're going to take our dye ink, our blending tool, or a foam cosmetic sponge, something to get the ink onto this. Now I'm using brown. You can use brown, black, a complementary color to your paper. Kind of whatever ink you decide on will determine the mood of your thing. And I'm just going to cover pretty much wherever there's embossing, I'm going to cover with ink. And you can see that the embossing powder is resisting the ink. You can still see where the stamped image is. That all on there. Alright, so here I have my embossing is covered with my ink, and we're going to go on to the final step. And this is where you need your iron. And if you're using your iron, you probably need an ironing board. But I don't ever pull mine out, because if I do, that would probably make my family think that I'm going to iron something for them, and that's not happening. So what we're going to do is I make my own little portable ironing pad. I take a book, cover it with a towel, and then I have my stamped, embossed, inked paper. I'm going to put that face up, and I'm going to cover that with just a piece of scrap paper. You need to cover your piece with a scrap paper, because as soon as you put the iron on here, it's going to melt your embossing powder, and if you don't put this on, you're going to get melted embossing powder all over your iron. So here, and I'm just going to go, and this goes real quick. And you can see the embossing powder is melting onto there. Lift it off. voila. Here we go. This is our image right here. We've lifted off the embossing powder, so now there's no more shiny. You can see the patterned paper that was underneath is coming through. Kind of gives it a soft, romantic look. And this is just the finished card I made up. I just put a little sentiment on here, mounted it on some cardstock, and I have a card that's ready to go. This makes really pretty tags, ATCs, and like I said, I love using this on cards just because it's so simple yet so dramatic. And this is just a sample of what we're going to do over the 2 weeks of the class, and I really hope that you'll be joining me there so we can play a lot more with all sorts of resists. Thanks.